In today's tutorial, let's learn how to do the new and now granny cowl, another free pattern available on yarnspirations.com. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to work on this particular cowl. It's called the New and Now Granny Cowl. It's a free pattern available on yarnspirations.com. There's a link in the more information of this video. Now this is a really quite simple idea. If you love granny squares, you may just love this particular idea. It's really quite simple, and all it is just a standard granny square, and there's a total of 8 of them in order to make it work. Now you'll notice that there is a color change within the diagram as you see here, but I'm kind of lazy. I am kind of lazy. And what we have today is the Bernat Super Value stripes. Now the interesting thing about this yarn is that it stays the same color for quite some time and then it jumps to a new color. So for example, this is the Spice version, so you can see that it changed color right off the bat because I was ending in this particular color, and then I went for the orange and then the mustard and then the deeper shades. So if you use this yarn, what happens is almost every granny square will look differently because it starts and stops. So when I go to start the next one for the video tutorial today, it's going to be starting red, so I'll have red in the middle, so you end up with a really kind of an eccentric or eclectic kind of idea for your cowl today. So let me show you how to make one of these. I'm going to change the instructions just slightly a little bit in order for you to stop and start if you want to play with this concept, because I know there's a lot of people that don't necessarily like to stop or start their yarns all the time. So this is a great way of doing it, of having color changes without having to stop every time in order to change. So without further ado, let me show you a little bit more about this pattern. So I know I'm getting really technical. I got the post-its notes out. You know it's going to be serious. What we have today is that this cowl is going to be made up of 8 different motifs. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what today we have is that when we get each one of these done, we're going to get all 8 done first, and then you're going to put a whip stitch, and you're going to whip stitch along the middle and then across, like so. I'm going to show you how to do a whip stitch so that it shows up really nicely. I'm going to show you how to do that as well in this tutorial. But all of the motifs are exactly identical, so you just got to make 8 of them, sew it up, and then once you have all this configuration sewn, you just got to sew this edge to that edge to form the circle that you can see that the model is wearing. So I guess let's grab our yarn today. We're going for a 5mm size H crochet hook today. I'm going to be using Bernat Super Value stripes in the Spice version, which is this version that I'm showing you in my hands. So let's begin and grab up our yarn and create a slip knot. So we're gonna start off in the center of the motif and work our way on the outside. So if you ever want to learn how to do a granny square, this is how you do it as well. Let's insert our hook into the slip knot and let's begin. We're going to start off by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's insert our hook into the beginning chain just right across and yarn over and pull yarn over and pull through. And what's gonna happen here is that you'll have a center ring where you'll be playing all the way around. So let's do round 1 together. So you'll notice that this yarn is gonna transition throughout today's tutorial. It's kind of fun. So we're gonna start off by chaining 3. 1, 2, and 3. This counts as a double crochet in the rules of crochet for this particular pattern. So what's gonna happen is that we have to double crochet 2 more times into the same center ring. So just open up that ring if you don't see it. Once you open it once, it pretty well stays open for the remainder. Okay, so now we're gonna turn a corner. So to turn a corner in this particular project, we have to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then go back into the center of that ring again and 3 more double crochets. Okay, let's turn another corner. So to turn a corner, chain 3. 1, 2, 3, back into that same ring for another 3 more double crochets. So if you're looking at the granny square for this particular design, it's always gonna be 3 double crochets into a gap space coming forward. So it's always gonna be consistent. Turn the corner again, and this is the final corner, or sorry, this is the final side that we're gonna do. So chain 3 and 3 more double crochets in. Okay, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then just go to the top. Okay, that completes off round number 1. Let's move on to round number 2. Let me take that, because I've been burying that straggler in there, I'm gonna take that out right now so that it's out of the way and you never see it again, like so. And then we're gonna carry on with row number 2, or round number 2. So I'm gonna start it slightly different than what it shows in the pattern. So because I'm not changing my yarn, I'm letting the yarn change itself, I'm just gonna immediately start the next round and I'm just going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3, that counts as a double crochet, and I want to double crochet 2 more times into that same space right where my thumb is moving. So right into that same space and double crochet 2 more times. Now we're gonna move along the edge, okay, so the side piece, and then here's the corner. So every time we're jumping between these groups of 3, you're always gonna chain 1 first and then just jump. So the next one happens to be a corner. So it's gonna get bigger and bigger the more times we rotate, so the middle sections will get longer and longer, and you just have to remember that. So once you get the first half of that corner done, chain 3 to turn the corner and come back into that same space, and 3 more double crochets to complete that corner. Okay, so now we got to jump over to the next space, so we always chain 1 first and then we go into the next, that next one happens to be a corner again, so it's 3 double crochet. I get excited with this yarn changing, color changing yarn. Say chain 3 and 3 double crochets, and the reason for it is that I always wonder when it's gonna happen, and so I keep my one eye on the ball, one eye on the project. And okay, so we're gonna keep going, so we're gonna chain 1 and then here's the next corner. So you cannot screw up in the sense that not realizing where your corners are and when you're finished a actual one round. Okay, so that's 1/2 of the corner, chain 3 to finish the corner, so with 3 double crochets into the same space. So because of the way that I had you start is that the first corner is right here, but it's only half of a corner, so this time when we come back around we're gonna chain 1 first. So when you finish a round you're actually finishing the second half of that starting corner that you started with. So 3 double crochets. See how it's like I've left empty? So you need to make sure you chain your 3 and then just slip stitch in the top of the beginning chain 3, and that completes off round number 2. Let me show you round number 3. So let's begin round number 3. There's only 5 rounds altogether. So again, we're not changing colors, we're letting the yarn do the work, so we're gonna just immediately chain up 3 and then just come into the same space for 2 more double crochets, because that chaining of 3 counts as a double crochet. The yarn is changing color on its own. So you just have to trust in that yarn, because once it's done you can see that it looks really quite interesting. So you just gotta let it fall where it may. So chain 1, come into the next space. So the next space is not a corner. See, we have a space in front of it, so we chain 1. So each one of the spaces in between the corners will always get 3 double crochets no matter what for this particular project. Okay, chain 1 and then here's your corner again. So the corners are always gonna be the same. 3 double crochets, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna continue. So chain 1, you have a space that's in between. I call this actually the runway in between. There's not a technical word, it's what I call it. When you're kind of making your way between the corners, it's the runway. It's kind of like doing the catwalk. Okay, chain 1, here's the next corner. So there's gonna be 3 double crochets, and then what else is there? If you said chain 3, you're right, and then what? 3 double crochets. So if you said that too, you get yourself a cookie to enjoy. Okay, chain 1, you're gonna go in this space. So the only difference between all of these rounds now going forward is that there's gonna be more space in between the corners. So every time you're working this, so it'll be chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1. So the next time there's going to be more space. So you can see here, see there's gonna be 2 spaces in the corner. So it's 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then the corner. That's the only difference of this as we get bigger. And because the yarn is changing color on its own, it becomes really interesting to watch how it will materialize. Now the neat thing about this particular yarn is that once you have all 8 done, you can lay it all out and kind of see how the colors best go with each other, so you can mix and match. And that's why I like leaving these kind of things to doing it at the end, but putting everything together so you can see what all the colors ended up being. Okay, and this is the final one. And this is round number 3. Don't forget you have to join it, so just chain 3 first and then join to the top of the first chain 3 to start once again. So that was round number 3. So we got rounds 4 and 5 left. I'm gonna just start you and then I'm gonna leave the rest of it for you in order to do the motif, and then I'll show you how to sew these things together so it's pretty seamless. So to begin again, you're going to chain 3 and then 2 double crochets into the same space. So it's already what I've taught you. Chain 1. Now there's gonna be more space in between until you get to the next corner. Each one of them is gonna get 3 double crochet followed by a chain 1. Okay, so then we're hitting our first corner in just a moment. Chain 1 and first corner, what is it again? 3 double crochets, then what? Chain 3, then what? 3 double crochet, that's right. Okay, so carry on around. So this will complete round number 4, and I want you to do one more round, which is number 5. And basically you can decide if you would like to go bigger. Just make sure it does change your yarn quantities if you do so, but if you want your squares to be bigger, just go extra rounds. Just make sure they're all the same size if you wish, and if you would like it to be smaller, you can obviously eliminate a round as well. So let me come get this done. I'll meet you back here in just a moment, and then I'll show you what to do for the sewing. So I'm coming up all the way around on round number 5, and it's the final round before you pick up and do another one. So you want a total of 8 of these, and look how the colors just amazingly, you know, you start questioning life at certain points, but once you end up getting done you realize that it turns out pretty good. So let's just finish this one now. So we're gonna just finish, and I'll show you how to finish off, and you can use the same finishing techniques. I think Daniel used my scissors for something else other than yarn. It's got a nick in it. You know how that is. So now I'm just going to just take my darning needle at this point here, and I'm going to just weave in the final. You don't want your ends falling out, of course. You know, you're ordering coffee at the coffee shop and somebody sees the ends coming out of your cowl and then they pass judgment. You know how it is. And it's like, and then people like me that are behind the line that just want to cut the strands. It's like, oh my goodness, you forgot a strand. So just want to weave it in just 3 times back and forth, and I've been teaching this for quite some time to do it like that. Okay, so you end up with a perfect kind of edge. He nicked it right down in where I normally cut, so I'm having to change my spot. So in the next part of this tutorial I'm going to show you how to put some squares together. So I'm gonna show you how to do that next, and you can see here it's the same yarn. Look how it changes. Isn't that neat? So when I come back I'll show you how to be able to put these together really nicely. So let's begin to assemble our cowl. So you need a total of 8 of these. I'm only gonna show it with 2 here because the sewing is the same. So what I would recommend is that turn these over so that it's the right side facing down. Okay, so do this on a table. It's harder to do it on your lap. And what I want you to do is look down on it and see if all of the squares kind of match each other if you're doing this kind of concept. If you can turn things because it is completely square, so if you want to just do something really kind of fun and funky you can do so, but make sure that they are all facing down just like this. So then you can just mix and match. So what I want you to do is that we're going to sew, and you got to make sure that you have a long enough yarn strand to go the entire distance across all 4 of these. So there's be 1 on each side, and you want to join it. So you'll have this set and then another, another, and another. Okay, so you want to do the middle, and then what you're going to do then is then come back and sew along these 3 seam lines. So coming this way. Okay, so let's begin, and I'm going to show you how to do this on the back side so you end up with a beautiful finish on the front side. So here's my yarn strand, and what I want to do is that I want to create a slip knot. This is my own personal preference on starting anything to do with sewing stuff together. You get a slip knot there, it's nice. The other side of that same string we're going to just feed it through the eye of a needle. Okay, so an eye, so let's feed it through. So now you have your strand ready to go. So what I want you to do is that I want you to look at this project, and you'll notice that on the outside edges there's always 2 strings. Okay, when we go through both we always see, well, it's just 1 stitch, but if you go through one or the other it's front or back loop, right? So what I want you to do is that only when you're accessing this, so it's upside down right now, when we go to do this we only want the 1 loop that's closest to you. Okay, so let's start on the one side. So we know that there's 3 in the center, so on the back loop only, okay, so just 1 strand, okay, and then on the middle one of this side here, okay, on the back strand only, okay, it's the one closest to you, just go through and pull your string through. Now don't pull it all the way through. You see this loop? Put your needle through that loop and it will fasten onto each other, and lay this straggler down on top. So what you're going to do is you're going to work on the next loop only, just 1, and get the other one, okay, the one that's straight across, so it's a new one, and you're gonna work your way down all the way through the seam. This is called like an invisible join as well. So the next one is a stitch, okay, so it's one of the double crochets, and then you want to get the same loop on the other side. Once you have enough of this strand buried in, you can just don't need to worry about it. So come to the next one and next one. Now you'll notice that the one side here I have a darker burgundy color, and the other side's more light orange, and the string I'm using is more of a light orange. You can decide what works for you when it comes to the yarn. So you just want to keep matching each one of the stitches because they are identical to each other. You should end up right on the same corner if you go back and forth with each other. Now when you go to pull it tight, you don't want to overstretch it. So I got the middle one here, so I'm looking for the middle one here. So just keep lining your stitches together. And notice how I'm keeping tension by just holding on to the string right here. Okay, so I want you to move all the way down. So if you're doing all of these all the way down your cowl, you're gonna eventually then run into the next set and just keep on going, and they'll all be attached in the center. So it's gonna look like this on the back side, but what does it look like on the front? You see? What a nice seam, right? So you just gotta keep on going. So let me do this off camera. It's easier to do this without a camera in front of me looking through a monitor, and let me do this and I'll show you what it looks like at the end, and I'll show you how to fasten these off nicely as well, so that you can start to do your very own project as well. Okay, so I'm coming up near to the end. I want to make sure I'm keeping matching. Now remember, in the other side we joined in the middle one of the exterior corner, so we want to do the same with this one as well. So go right to the middle, and you should never have a problem with that. So let's show you how to fasten off. So now if you were doing it, you would have attached the rest of them along here as well, and then you're gonna come along and do the seam across. Okay, so how to finish off, okay, you simply just take your yarn string and go back in the direction from which you came, and just go into the fiber areas. Okay, so we don't want to come into the front side at all because you don't want to see this string. So when you go to put it in, make sure that you stay on this side of the fiber, so you should never see your needle coming through. Okay, and I don't, so it's good. So I just want to come back in the direction I was just coming from, and when I go to pull it, I don't want to over pull it too tight, and now I'm gonna come back in the same direction that I was just in, and then I'm gonna come back one more time in the direction that we came from. Okay, so by going at 3 times in, you can never pull this out. It'll never come out because your yarn cannot stretch in 3 different ways at one time. So now you can safely cut it right at the base. And this one here, you buried it underneath some stitches as you went, so you can officially cut that, and here's what the other side will look like. So you end up with a beautiful seam just like there. So even though that the yarn strand on the one side seems kind of obvious on how you joined it, it's not ugly, and on the other side you barely even see it. And that's how you would do this cowl. That's called the New and Now Granny Cowl. It's a free pattern available on yarnspirations.com. Enjoy this free pattern. It's a lot of fun to work with, and you can come up with some really neat concepts using the Bernat Super Value stripes. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of Yarn Inspirations as well as the crochetcrowd.com. We'll see ya.